Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Provost Richard Sax at University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. I'm pleased to welcome on today's show Professor Ray Matura. And Provost Sax and Professor Matura will be making choices in the college football bowl game selection in what we hope is our first inaugural. Inaugural? Are you good on that?
Yeah, it was billed as the first annual, but he's a wordsmith, so it ought to be the inaugural, not the first, just the inaugural.
There's no good writing, there's only good rewriting. So we have 40 bowl games in 27 minutes, and we're going to start immediately with the New Mexico Bowl, which is December 17th in Albuquerque. UT San Antonio versus UNM, and I had to pick UNM as a previous UNM employee, also because they're 8-4 and UT San Antonio is 6-6. Professor Matura, we agree on this.
Yeah, I picked them because they have a good running attack. This isn't a love fest. I'm trying to use a little intelligence here.
Okay.
The difference between faculty and
no, that's true. I have a lot of passion here, and I do want to say, with President Robert Frank stepping down at the end of the month, Provost Chowki Abdallah at UNM. Man, good luck to you. He's going to be interim president.
He thinks those folks are watching from Mexico.
Anything could happen. It's the interweb. Las Vegas Bowl. Tell us about your pick, Professor Matura.
I've got San Diego State. Houston lost their coach. I think the team will be down. So,
and I agree on that, San Diego State. Moving on to the Cure Bowl in Orlando later this Saturday afternoon. Arkansas State versus UCF. I went with Arkansas State. I like to see some of the HBCUs in the bowl game. How about your pick?
That's again, he went with his heart. I'm going
right.
with intelligence. UCF it's a home game for them. It's a first-year coach. He's done a very fine job, and I think they'll be well motivated to wind up trying to take UCF to the next level, which they won't get there, but I think they'll be highly motivated. So, yeah. UCF.
Totally agree with Professor Matura emphasizing logic and the world of the mind. However, every year with March Madness, isn't it the person in the office who knows nothing about basketball who wins it every year? So I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, Camellia Bowl.
That means you're going to win our bet.
Okay, it could happen. We're staying on the 17th in Montgomery, Toledo versus App State. Since I'm a Michigan alumnus, I am never picking against App State again. I'm just going with them. How about you?
I've only taken a couple courses at Michigan, and since Appy State actually beat them, I'm going with Appalachian State.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back. Okay. New Orleans Bowl, December 17th, 9 p.m. I got to go for Brent Favre's alma mater, especially since he who will not be named is currently working at UL Lafayette. So I'm going with Southern Mississippi.
I'm also going with Southern Mississippi. I think they've got a very good quarterback, and our former provost, Dr. Clyde Evans, on the board of trustees here. I don't want to get on his case. That's where he got his doctorate. So.
Oh, okay, great. Miami Beach Bowl, December 19th, Tulsa versus Central Michigan. I got to go for Tulsa. They have a phenomenal basketball team. The only thing I know about the football team is they're 9-3, and Central was 6-6 in the MAC. So I got to believe Tulsa is going to win that game.
I'm going with Tulsa also, but it's not for heartfelt. It's because I think they played Ohio State pretty well this year, which is a big-time school, and they played them well. And I figure if they can do that well against them, they ought to beat up on Central Michigan.
Excellent point. Boca Raton Bowl, December 20th. Memphis and Western Kentucky. I got to pull for Western Kentucky. Dale Lindsey, one of the great Browns linebackers of the 1960s, is a Western Kentucky alumnus. Dr. Matura.
Again, he's going with the love, touchy-feely area. I'm going to go with Memphis, mostly because they play in the ACC, which I think is upgraded this year in a conference. They've been tested in the ACC, much better competition. So I'm going for Memphis over Western Kentucky.
Okay. Poinsettia Bowl, back to San Diego, December 21st, BYU and Wyoming. I got to go with the Wyoming Cowboys. Love that Mountain West Conference.
BYU has had a better schedule in playing big-time football, so I'm going to go with Brigham Young.
Okay. Potato Bowl. It looks like we are both supporting the Mountain West, Colorado State. Sound good to you?
I am. They've got a powerful offense this year, so.
Okay. Bahamas Bowl down in the Caribbean. Old Dominion versus EMU. Do you want to talk about your pick, Dr. Matura?
Old Dominion, they got a balanced attack. They got a great quarterback, I think, and a good running back. So it's going to be Old Dominion.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have some respect for the 3-1-3 with Eastern Michigan and Ypsilanti, and hope that MAC team will win that game.
He's not only a Michigan fan, anything Michigan he votes for. So
Hey, it's regional. It's
okay.
regional. It's
okay. It's a
Mid-American.
love life, so it's a
It
love
is.
fest here. So
You gotta love football. Okay, there's love in all parts of my life. Armed Forces Bowl. Okay. Soo-wee. Okay, we're not to Arkansas yet. Louisiana Tech versus Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth. What do you got?
well, I think you're going with Navy, right?
I'm going with Navy.
I would have gone with Navy. I think they've had a phenomenal season. They played well, lots of points. They've been exciting to watch. But their quarterback went down, their running back went down. Those are two key ingredients. They played in the Army-Navy game, and Army beat them for the first time in, I don't know, a dozen years or so. Last weekend, Navy is nothing without those two guys. So I'm going to go with Louisiana Tech.
La Tech, okay. Dollar General, this is not the store at the corner. This is a bowl game apparently this year in Mobile, Alabama. Got to pull for the local team, Ohio U, over Troy.
I would like to do that also since I'm an alum of OU, but they don't do that all that well in bowl games. And I think for Troy, it's almost a home game. I don't think OU travels well. They're not going to have their fans there in Alabama. I think the Troy fans will be there, and they want to show that they can play with the big boys. So I'm going to go with Troy.
Okay. In the Hawaii Bowl, Hawaii actually has a losing record, but I guess 6 victories makes you bowl eligible. So Hawaii at 6-7, playing against Middle Tennessee State U, with Brad Bartell as provost. He was my president at Fort Lewis College. He's at Middle Tennessee State now, and I guess we're going with MTSU, huh?
Yes, both of us are going with Middle Tennessee.
Okay, and St. Petersburg Bowl, since we are led by a president with some Mississippi State, I think Dr. Mature and I both determined that Mississippi State will beat Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, we did that. He's trying to kiss up with our president here, but I'm going because I think they've got a very good team and they're in the SEC, and that's a tough league. And so we're both going with Mississippi State. Again, the love guy here.
Well, okay, you want me to be logical? Ben Roethlisberger.
No, that's okay. Don't start
I can be
midstream here.
logical. It's just not as much fun to be logical. I'm logical most of my day. I want to be illogical. I will be logical, though. Ben Roethlisberger is not quarterback anymore at Miami of Ohio, am I right?
That's correct.
Mississippi State's going to win that game. Quick Lane Bowl. I'm not sure why that's in Detroit, but it is. BC versus Maryland. We're both going for BC.
Boston College, correct.
All right.
Maryland can't beat anybody. They're in a big team, and they've been a doormat this year. So
Yeah, well, they won 6 games and they're in the Big Ten. I guess that means they make the Quick Lane
yeah,
Bowl.
but they haven't won many Big Ten games.
Good point. Independence Bowl in Shreveport, NC State versus Vanderbilt. Dr. Mature?
Going to be Vanderbilt. I'm going to go again with the SEC. I think Vanderbilt's an up-and-coming team. I really like their coach. He's developing a program there, and if they don't win on the field, they'll be gentlemen and scholars there.
Okay, and I'm going for Vanderbilt because their doctoral programs are well ahead of NC State's.
Well, I said gentlemen and scholars. So.
Okay, there we go. The Heart of Dallas Bowl. Isn't all of Dallas the Heart of Dallas? And that's Army versus North Texas State. And if my research is correct, North Texas State has a 5-7 record, which would make them not eligible for bowls. But there they are. Maybe because Denton is close to Dallas. At any rate, I'm pulling for Army. Dr. Matura?
I'm also pulling for Army. They upset Navy. I think they're psyched. They're going to wind up being there and showing up. Go Army.
Okay. Military Bowl, Annapolis, Maryland, Temple and Wake Forest, because Dr. Matura has some Temple University in his background. Got to go for Temple. Broad Street.
I'm going for Temple because I think a lot of people fear them. They don't want to play Temple, and I think their coach is leaving, taking another position, upgrading himself, and I think they want to send him out as a winner. So I think they're going to play their hearts out.
And Temple was 10-3. Is that disrespect for their record that they're playing against a 6-6 Wake Forest team, or is it because Wake Forest plays in the ACC?
I think it's because Wake Forest plays in the ACC, but you got to play these bowls someplace. So 10-3 is not going to get them into one of the major bowls, only because of the conference they're in.
Strength of schedule, yeah. Holiday Bowl, and we, Dr. Mature and I locked our picks earlier this week. Overnight, is everybody aware 10 players were suspended from the Minnesota team, including the starting safety and 3 cornerbacks who rotate in? But I made my choice with Minnesota. I will stick with the Big Ten. And Dr. Mature, you picked Washington State.
He's a Big Ten fan, so again, he's going with his heart. So it's going to be Washington State. Minnesota just has not developed at all this year. They haven't played up to their expectations. And after losing a lot of their players, I don't think they have any expectations. So it's going to be Washington State.
Okay. Cactus Bowl in Phoenix on the 27th, Baylor versus Boise State. We're both picking Boise State probably because of the turquoise AstroTurf, I'm assuming?
No, I'm picking Boise State because they always have something to prove. And
Good point.
You know, playing somebody like Baylor, and Baylor has been a bit of a disappointment this year and been disarray. They've had a number of issues. I think Boise State will just go all out to show that they belong on the stage. Past couple of years, they've had good teams and they were left out of the top 10, but they want to be there.
Okay. Pinstripe Bowl, December 28th in the Big Apple, Northwestern and Pitt. And as Midwesterners, we've both seen enough of Northwestern that we're picking Pitt. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I think Pitt's got one heck of a team. So, you know, but Pitt beat Penn State. They beat Clemson, 2 of the top 6 teams in the country. If they play anything like that, they're going to win.
Okay. Russell Athletic Bowl, Miami of Florida versus WVU. With so many WVU and Marshall people on this side of the Ohio River, I will say, just as Thomas Jefferson once said, or might have said, we all support Marshall, we all support WVU. Therefore, I'm picking WVU versus Miami of Florida. Dr. Matura.
Sounds like his pick is out of fear or love. I'm not quite sure which. But an emotional pick again. I'm picking WVU because they've had one heck of a season. They were ranked in the top 10 for some period of time. I think they want to go out as a big winner and help the recruiting for next year. So I think WVU are going to be playing their hearts out.
Okay. Foster Farms Bowl, December 28th, Santa Clara. That must be in the 49ers Stadium there. Indiana versus Utah, and because I support the Big Ten so much, and actually I was at the Indiana-Michigan game and saw Michigan barely beat Indiana. I was at the Michigan-Utah game. Was that 2 years ago when we lost? No, 1 year ago. It was Harbaugh's opening game. We lost to Utah. So I've seen Utah beat Michigan, and Indiana almost beat Michigan in the last year. Therefore, I'm pulling for Utah. I think Utah's going to win.
And I'm going for Utah because Kyle Whittington is the coach. I think he's had a number of pretty tough coaching venues, being in the Pacific Northwest, being at Notre Dame. I think he's done a fine job. He's an outstanding person and a great coach. And again, Utah's played well the past couple of years. I'm going to go with Utah for that reason.
Okay. Texas Bowl, December 28th in Texas, in Houston. Kansas State versus A&M. Dr. Matura.
Well, I think Kansas State probably has the better team, but Texas A&M is an SEC team with playing in a pretty good conference, and we have a board member here at the university who's a Texas A&M grad, and I don't want to get into some kind of meeting or party with him and have him harass me. So for emotional reasons or for my own personal safety, I'm going to go with Texas A&M.
Well, as much as I like and respect that board member, I've got post-Johnny Manziel stress disorder, so I'm not going to pull for anything that's A&M. I'm K-State on this.
Well, you do that. You know, I've got tenure, so I don't fear anything, but 30-day notice
30
and
days,
you're out of here.
I could be gone. It's been real, guys. Thanks. Birmingham Bowl, USF versus South Carolina. I picked South Carolina because I wasn't certain whether that was Southern Florida or whether the Friars of University of San Francisco are playing football again. So I picked South Carolina.
I think South Carolina is a bit in disarray. They've had a first-year coach, was coach at my former alma mater, who I think is a super nice guy, but I don't think he's put the team together yet. They haven't played up to their expectations. They've been beaten like a drum in several games this year. And University of South Florida is another one of those up-and-coming teams, so I'm going to go with USF.
Okay. Belk Bowl in Charlotte on the 29th at 5:30. Vatech versus Arkansas. Personally, I don't like any, and I don't know if we said at the start of the show, there were no college mascots or cheerleaders harmed in the preparation of this show. So I want you guys to know that. However, any team like the Arkansas Razorbacks that has a pig as a mascot, I have some issues with. I also love to say Vatech. It just feels good. So I'm going for Virginia Tech. How about you?
Well, I'm going for Virginia Tech, but Arkansas is not a pig; it's a Razorback.
It's a Razorback hog? Razorback.
Yes, and Sioux is their call. So I think when you call them pigs, if you go to Arkansas anytime in your transcontinental trips here, if you're identified,
Would you guys send?
you're in deep doo-doo.
Would you guys send Diana a message and have her put on my Outlook calendar? Don't go to Arkansas, okay? And I'll make sure not.
Virginia Tech, I think, has had a very good season under a first-year coach, and Arkansas has played a tough schedule, and I think that's going to be a real Donnybrook, and Arkansas may very well win, but I'm going to go with Virginia Tech.
Okay. Alamo Bowl, December 29th. What a great town, San Antonio. Although I love also to say, okay, State, I got to pull for Colorado, because I think that's a really good team. I think Sifu, whatever the quarterback, he looked horrible against Washington. He looked very good against Michigan until we hurt him and knocked him out of the game, at which point we recovered from a 14-point deficit and beat them by 17. But I think Colorado's really good, despite the fact that they laid an egg against Washington. I expect them to win this game.
Well, I think the Pac-12 is a better league, and Colorado's played some very, very good football this year, so I'm going to go with Colorado.
Okay. Liberty Bowl, TCU versus Georgia. I'm pulling for Georgia just because if we have any time at the end, I plan on singing a verse of Rainy Night in Georgia.
I hope we have no time.
Okay. Sun Bowl, December 30th, El Paso, Texas. That is one beat town, folks. North Carolina versus Stanford. Two very fine institutions. Stanford's probably a little bit better academically. I'm going for Stanford.
I'm going for Stanford because Christian McCaffrey is their running back. He's one of the top best players in the country. I think he's going to go out, wants to go out with a very, very good game. So I think it's going to be Stanford.
Okay. Music City Bowl, December 30th in Nashville, Nebraska versus Tennessee. Even though I had great respect for Peyton Manning's career, I hate it when they sing Rocky Top after a victory, and I would like to see another Big Ten team win, so I'm pulling for Nebraska. Do you know anything about either of these teams this year?
Again, he's gone with his heart, and he's still stuck on this Big Ten, and I realize I'm in the Big Ten area here, but Tennessee, I'm an SEC fan. Tennessee's an SEC school. I think Tennessee has shown remarkable signs of improvement. Plus, my colleague, Scott Beekman, and his wife, his office is right next to mine, and I don't want him to do bodily harm to me if I do not pick Tennessee. So I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Okay. December 30th, Arizona Bowl in Tucson, Air Force versus Southern Alabama. I'm pulling for Air Force because Aiden wants to go there in 4 years. So, I'm hoping this will have some kind of positive impact. How about you?
I'm going with Air Force because they beat Boise State, who I said earlier had a very, very good football team. I think they also played well against Navy. So.
Now, I actually watched Air Force play UNM in Albuquerque about 4 years ago, and they were using a triple wishbone. Do they still run like that all the time? They ran the ball like 45 times. They passed it like 5 times.
Not all times, but it's hard to get a good quarterback throwing when you're at these military schools.
Sure,
so running, that's the same thing with Navy. It's a running quarterback and a running back. So the military academies frequently do that because folks that are good quarterbacks are going to go to big schools.
It was like 1938. I couldn't believe how much they were running. Okay. Oh, the Orange Bowl. This is a Michigan game. Florida State versus Michigan. I'll tell you, I think Harbaugh is going to be annoyed. Regardless what you think about the reffing with Ohio State, he's on a mission. I think the quarterbacking for Michigan is very problematic. But I think a 10-2 Michigan team is going to outlast a 9-3 Florida State team.
And you guys are out there watching pictures of his family photos. I didn't bring family photos here when I do my alma maters, but we'll take those. I'm glad they're not.
It's better looking at them than looking at me, right? Am I right?
That's absolutely correct. Particularly this one right now with one of your youngest there with the Michigan drumsticks in his hand. But I'm a Florida alum, and it's natural for me no matter who Florida State is playing. I hate Florida State. We used to refer to that as that other school or the girls' school up north. So I'm going to go with Michigan, but I think Harbaugh likes to recruit heavily in Florida, and he's going to do everything he can to make it a good game, and he's going to be well prepared. I think he's an outstanding coach, and hopefully he doesn't lose his temper.
Okay, Anthony Carter, Riviera Beach, Florida. Citrus Bowl, December 31st, Louisville versus LSU. Coach, what do you think?
LSU, as far as earlier in the year I would have picked Louisville, but I think that they've had some bums on their team and just not showing up to play. LSU has gone through a coaching change. They've had some ups and downs, but just recently, Coach Orion, they made him permanent, and I'll go with LSU for that reason. They're going to play their hearts out to show that the administration there made the right choice.
Okay. Well, I saw where basketball coach Doc Rivers said he never wanted to play a Game 7 if he didn't have the best athlete on the court, and I think you can take a version of that quotation in terms of a bowl game. And I think the quarterback for Louisville is probably going to be the best athlete on the field. And that may or may not win out. We'll see. Tax Slayer Bowl, which occurs, obviously enough, on the last day of the year, December 31st. Georgia Tech versus Kentucky. What do you think?
Kentucky has been building a very good program, and they, just like Tennessee and Vanderbilt, Kentucky has shown some real strong signs of life, and I think their coach is going to have them ready to play anybody, particularly folks from the ACC. So I'm going to go with the SEC and pick Kentucky.
Okay, and I'm going to go with the Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech. That brings us to the playoffs, which will start December 31st at 3 and at 8:30 p.m. At 3 o'clock in Atlanta. It's number 1 ranked Alabama versus number 4 Washington. If I were going for my heart, I would love to see UW win. One of my best friends lives in Seattle, but I'm going with the head this time. I don't think Washington can beat Bama.
Alabama's the best team in the country, so
okay. Enough
said.
And then the 8:30 game is Clemson versus Ohio State. Justify your Ohio State selection there?
I'm an Urban Meyer fan. I think he prepares his teams, and Clemson has had some down games this year. Ohio State has also, but I think given enough time, Urban Meyer's bowl record is there, and I think Ohio State's still has a chip on their shoulder after the playoffs last year. I think they're going to come out ready, and I think they're going to win.
Everything you says makes sense. However, I don't know which Ohio State team is going to show up. Is it going to be the one that showed up for Penn State? Is it going to be the one that showed up for the first 3 quarters against Michigan, or for the 4th quarter and overtime against Michigan? So I'm thinking he probably will have them ready, and I may be wrong, but I'm picking Clemson. Outback Bowl, Florida versus Iowa.
No decision here. I'm a Florida alum. They've had a pretty bad year. They've got 9 starters out. In fact, the people who are out are a better team than they're going to put on the field. This one I'll go with my heart, but I really think that they'll probably be there and their defense will show up.
Right. Iowa beat Michigan. I got to go for Iowa. Cotton Bowl, January 2nd, Western Michigan and Wisconsin.
It's going to be Wisconsin.
Okay.
Western Michigan just hasn't played the same kind of competition.
Yeah, well, Western Michigan's 13-0. I got to go with that. My buddy Scott Friesner's taught there for 26 years on 1-year contracts.
Another love choice.
Okay. Well, a friendship choice.
At least
anyway.
you're consistent.
Friendship choice. I'm mostly consistent. 160% of the time I'm consistent. Rose Bowl, Penn State versus USC.
I'm going with Penn State. I think Penn State has something to prove about being left out of the major bowls, being at the top four, and they've been an up-and-coming team.
Yep. They looked very impressive at the end of the year. Penn State team that lost 49-10 against Michigan.
Yep.
I'm going to go for Penn State.
They only lost early in the year, but they came came together.
Sugar Bowl, New Orleans, Oklahoma and Auburn. What do you got?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I'm going against the SEC on this one because I think Oklahoma had one of the top 5 teams in the country, but sometimes they haven't played up to it. But I think they will for the bowl.
Okay. So, and Fiesta Bowl winner, I have Alabama against Clemson. And what's interesting is both Sax and Matura are selecting an Alabama win by 11 points. But I see it 11 points over Clemson. Dr. Matura, do you want to talk about the 11-point Alabama win over Ohio State?
Alabama's going to be there. Ohio State just lost their defensive coordinators going to Cincinnati. I don't know whether he's out recruiting for someone else, but Alabama is just tough to beat, and I think Nick Saban is tough to vote against. So going with Alabama in the SEC.
We have a little bit of time here. Can you talk about what kind of game you think JT Barrett's going to have? Because I think the only way JT Barrett is going to play on Sunday next year is as a safety or a defensive back, possibly a tailback. What do you think?
It could be. I don't think he's got the arm, but I don't think he's smart enough to be that. But to be there on Sunday as a quarterback. But you told us to wear Rio gear, and I just want to point out he used Rio gear as generic. I used the girls' team. I think the girls' women's basketball are going to be better than the men's this year. So I want everybody out there to support it and be there. And I also want to give a shout out to Rio Champions soccer team. That's the real football in the world. And we were national champions last year and came runner-up this year. So shout out to the soccer team.
Will I lose my PG-13 rating if he keeps taking clothes off?
After we go off the air, I'll show you what else.
It's cable.
I have here.
Okay. All right.
But I don't think JT Barrett's going to be a professional quarterback. I think he's going to go the way of the Tim Tebow's of the world.
Well, and I guess from the little I saw him this summer too, he doesn't have that kind of pinpoint accuracy that you expect and timing. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, listen, thanks very much. It's been my pleasure. I generally don't get upbraided for 30 minutes like this unless I'm at a professional conference making a strong argument for something that most people don't believe in. But it has been a pleasure, Dr. Matura, and a lot of fun. And I think we should do the same thing next year, same time.
Okay.
Are you down?
Okay.
Okay.
Put us down.
I might even do some research.
I don't know
this
whether
time.
we have an audience.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, there'll be 17 views in a month or so. Okay. Thanks, guys. Be well. Enjoy the holidays.
Happy holidays.